Alright, I wanted to shoot a quick video here. We're going into the weekend round of the Great Outdoors Tournament, and I'm looking at my notes. I've played my practice rounds. I've posted, I still have one qualifying or opening round for my low-level clubs that I just finished playing, that I haven't posted those videos yet, but I'm going to post this one first. And just going through the holes, I've made some changes through the week and just trying to tidy up my notes as the weekend round comes. And I'll probably rewrite my notes, but right now I'm just kind of going through them. So on the first hole, I'm using a Big Topper Titan, going for 400 yards, and I'd like to be right out in here. That's short iron range. And I've hit this and I've gotten a little bit farther, and I've seen people use Power 4 balls. The problem with Power 4 balls is you could roll out here into it shortens this side up. You can run out of fairway. So if you're down at the end, you want to be to the right, or you want to be coming in where you've got a right hand curl and you're drifting in the right hand direction so that you can get farther down into the hole. And I've seen some people get it way out there, like 430. And they were definitely in their short iron range. And they were in their short iron range, and they were coming out at a really good angle. So getting down there is good. But if you haven't been practicing with a Power 4 ball and you use Power 4 ball here, you might be in trouble. I'm going to stick with my Power 3 ball and go at it that way. So I'm going with a Power 3, a Big Topper Titan. I'm doing max overpower. I'm trying to get to 400 yards. I'm doing a 20% wind adjustment. I changed it because I've hit several perfects here, and I've been off and I've underpulled it. So I'm going to do a 20% wind adjustment instead of a 10, because the deal is that I'm always close on this hole. We're all always close, so there's some little minute adjustment that we're not making. And so I've hit enough perfects to be able to go back and look at the video, and it looks like I just need to make a little bit bigger adjustment. So I'm going to switch mine just because I'm trying to get a hole in one, or trying to get that eagle. I'm going to do a 20% adjustment. If I'm with my Saturn, I'm doing 1.9 per ring, 1.9, 2.2, 2.7, so I'm hitting the 2.7 because it's a minimum club. If I'm in my Hornet, I'm at max club, and it's 1.1 per ring. That's what I'm doing on that hole. Hole number two. Hole number two, maybe. Okay, on this hole, in my main account, I have a ton of Titans, so I'm using a Titan. And I'm using a Titan because it puts my red line way up here. So when I pull back with my Guardian and I take the wind out, I've got enough room down here that I am right towards my red line. So I'm about as close down there as I can get. I'm doing a 1.5 per ring wind adjustment. And I'm doing 30%. I'm adding on 30% onto the wind. So if the wind's 3, I'm adding on 0.9, and then I'm going to do a 1.5 wind adjustment. So in that scenario, I would do 2 rings. That would leave me 9. That's about half. So if I was out on the field, that's, I'd be somewhere in that neighborhood. It'd be a little less than half, but 2.5, somewhere in that neighborhood would be my wind adjustment. Guardian, Titan. I was using a Katana, but my red line was down here, and I thought that I was kind of more in the mid club. Like mid club was up here and minimum was down here, and I was in between those two, and I couldn't, and the number was like a variable, so I pulled out a Titan to pull my red line up. Titan, Guardian, 1.5 per ring, 30% wind adjustment. Hole number 3, maybe. If I can get the pen off and hit hole number 3. Hole number 3, favorite hole in the game, QB, right here. I'm doing a 20% wind adjustment. I am 2.5 rings off of this transitional surface, so I'm half my blue ring on this transitional surface. I'm doing max top spin, max right side spin with a Katana and a QB, and that puts me right about there, and that is the spot. Now, I mean, draw this line here. You draw the line from the green, you draw a line to get over here. Okay, so if you're trying to go towards the green, 2 things need to happen. You need to get way up in this fairway area up here so that your ball is as far up as possible, so that your second bounce out here, when you put side spin on, you can cover this angle. Okay, so if you overhit and you're out here, now you're behind the trees and you're coming at it at a different angle, and the shot's diminished. If you hit it back here, you're coming at it, and then you've got to do this S curve, and you can't create that S curve because you can't use curl because of these trees. So one of the things I like about the Grenik point holes is they teach you about pinpoint placement, and you want to be in this spot, this spot, this spot, this spot, over and over and over again. And you want to be in that spot every single time you come here. And if you're in that spot every single time you come here, most people do not use the word Albie when they come to this hole. But if you're in that spot every time, you're going to be able to land out here towards the tip, bring your second bounce way down here with your ball guide going towards the hole, and you can rub the nubs. I don't know what Playdemic calls it, but when you're in your rings and it's got the little triangle and it comes around, it's got the little triangle and it comes around, I call those the nubs. And so you can rub up against the nubs, and that's about a ring. So like if you're short shooting a shot and you're rubbing up against the upper nubs, that's about a ring. If you're overpowering up against the nubs, that's about a ring. So I'm assuming it's about a ring for the side spin too, or for the curl. So you got a little teeny bit of room here, but if you put any more on it than that, man, you're taking the risk of catching the top of these trees. And even if you rub up against it and you hit it great to the left, you're taking a risk. So it is, you've got to hit this shot straight. As much curl as you had to put on this shot, you got to hit this shot straight. And you got to use side spin to direct the ball where you want it to go. All right, that was hole number 3. Let's make sure we got our notes here. Trying to get my light to come back on. If I can stand up. Okay, hole number 3, quarterback katana, 20%, max top spin, max side spin, using a sniper. All right, that's that hole. Hole number 4, sniper and a quasar. Coming out here with the sniper. Using 4 backspin, sniper, snipe, 4 backspin, 2 left side spin. So 4 backspin, 2 left side spin. And I'm setting it up with my ball guide with these numbers. I'm adjusting it so that I am going right at the hole and that the ball guide is ending right at the hole. Now here's the funny thing. I've shot this hole like 16 times this week with my main account and my main account practice account, and I haven't hit it perfect yet. I've hit like 9 to the to the left and 7 to the right, or vice versa. But I've been like, and every time I'm like here's the pin. I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm right here. And right here. And I just keep being in the same spot, and they're about the same distance away from the cup. And in my low level account with low level clubs that have 0 ball guide, I hit this shot perfect 3 times in a row, and it went right at the hole. I just didn't have the top spin right because of the ball guide. I just wasn't reading it right, but I'm on track. So on this hole, I'm using sniper, quasar, 4 backspin, 2 left-hand side spin, and a 10% wind adjustment. And I'm putting that ball guide right at the hole. Hole number 5. I've switched how I'm playing this hole. I prefer to play this hole out here and come out like this. And in the past, in tournaments, we've had wind that was blowing in this direction, and I like that because when you get out here, you got the shot and the wind's in your back, so it's easier to adjust out the wind, and it's super easy to get out here. But the wind's not blowing that way in this tournament. The wind's blowing this way, and so when you're out here, even though it's easy to get out here, it's hard to make the shot because you're dealing with pure side wind. So my lower level account, it's difficult to get out over here, but if you have an upper level account, I'm using this fairway over here. I'm not messing around with any of this stuff in this line. Imagine that this shit's not here. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm focused just on this fairway right here. I've got plenty of fairway over here. I've got a big landing area with an upper level extra mile and a Titan. You're going to be able to be somewhere right above this sand trap looking at it like this. And so I'm moving my ball to the right so that I have about a 2-ring, at least a 2-ring pull on either side. And when you do overpower here, you got to imagine that your ball is here. And right now the sand you're at risk of getting in the sand. But when you do the overpower, you're going to be up here. And so this rough is on the other side. So what I will do in an area like this when I'm trying to end up, okay, let me pull back just one more, just a little bit. So I'm trying to end up right here, and I'm landing and my ball is going in this trajectory. Okay, so I need to cover this gap. And so I have curl on the ball, or side spin on the ball, and curl that's going to push my ball in that direction. So the question is, how far can I go in this direction? How far can I pull this ball out here and still be able to cover this angle? So a lot of times people will not have faith in their curl and side spin, and they will push this way and they'll try and wedge up in here. And if they don't hit it perfect, if they hit it great on the left hand side, they end up caught in this stuff right here, and then they're in big trouble. So to make this shot so that it's more standardized, so that it's less risky, if you hit a 2-ring great to the left or the right, it really doesn't matter. I will try and make sure that in this area down here I have as many rings, I'm as centered as possible. And then I will really try and make up this gap with all of the side spin and all of the curl. So whereas over here you could use a Titan, we're now talking a side spin shot, and that means that I have to switch to a Kingmaker. Now you could still use a Titan, but if you're in a shot where if you hit it great to the right and you end up out here, and the only thing that will make your shot not be able to clear this gap is a little bit of extra side spin, then why didn't you bring a Kingmaker? The question is if you put on all of the top spin on a ball, you can't get on all of the side spin. So with a Titan, you can get maximum top spin, maximum side spin. But with a Kingmaker, it has more side spin. So the more you push into that side spin, the more you pull down on the top spin. So you may end up losing a little bit of top spin in order to gain a little bit more side spin. So if you're not having a problem here, you can bring a Titan. And if you're not having a problem in your setup and you're easily getting out there, and even if you mishit it and you hit it great to the left or great to the right, you still end up coming out, then stick with your Titan. But if you're having problems, you can switch to a Kingmaker and you can put on more side spin. But in putting on more side spin, you may take off some top spin. And so instead of ending up out here, you may end up out here. And I'm not sure where the cutoff line is out here between where you're in your short iron and you're in your long iron. So you definitely want to bring, if you're going to shoot this shot, you definitely want to bring, in my case, I'm going to bring a claw because it's more accurate than a thorn. And I'm going to bring a Saturn. And I'm going to have a Guardian in my bag just in some weird event where I get down in here and something, who knows, but I'm going to bring a Guardian just in case. Since I've got backspin stuff, I'm going to bring backspin stuff. The question here is this. If you were in this area down here in the rough, could you get from here to the green with a machete? Now you're in long iron range when you're over here. And so if you draw an arc around the course, that's kind of your long iron range. So maybe long iron's out here and you got all this for short iron. So maybe this is the cutoff point. But if you're over here and this is your long iron range, you're going to need to have a machete or not a machete, but a Nirvana or a Amazon in order to get over. You'd probably be better served with a Nirvana because you might be able to get up here and then bounce over. It's got enough topspin to get you over, or barely get you over. And that would be the best that you could do. So, but if you got caught up here in the rough or over here in the rough, you're going to need a backspin club. So do you bring a machete or do you bring your Nirvana? And I got to go with the Nirvana, because if you get caught up out here anywhere, what you're going to need to do at that point is not worry at that point. If you end up making the eagle on your Nirvana shot, fine. But the goal right now is to get on the green, get my birdie. Let's not put birdie at risk. Let's not go for the eagle so much that we end up with a par. But I'm going to definitely be hitting out here, because when I'm hitting out here and I end up in this area, the wind's going this direction. So I've got the wind in my back. Now the further out here you can get, the more I think the wind is more going kind of like this, where it's kind of going in more of like this type of a direction. So the further out there you can get, where you catch up with that wind, when you go to take the shot in, the wind is literally like right behind your back. So the adjustment's you have a little bit of wiggle room in your adjustment. It's a little bit easier. This shot's harder, this shot's easier. This shot's harder. This shot from here is easier. So, and you got a better shot at making eagle if you hit out here. So I've switched this up, and that's how I'm gonna play hole number 5, because the deal is that I have hole number 8 nailed. There is no way we are not going to get, if we do this shot on hole number 8, even with low level clubs, you can get this done with if you've got a low level quarterback, you can get this done. Like a level 4 or 5 quarterback, you can get it done. So if you got upper level clubs, you can get a guaranteed eagle on 8. So I want to really work on 5, because 5 is, I think, our best shot. Now 1, I'm making adjustments to try and get that because we're in the spot. But this hole here, I think we can really increase my odds, or our odds, if we come over here where we got the wind behind us. So on that hole, I've switched to extra mile Kingmaker. And I'm not sure that I'm going to get any more side spin with the Kingmaker, but I can put a little bit more on there. And I'm going to bring a Kingmaker just because it'll cut the wind down on this next shot. And then I'm going to bring a Hornet, or excuse me, a Claw, and go right at it. And I'm going to bring a Saturn and a Guardian as my backup. And I'm going to bring my normal suspects, usual suspects. Hole number 6. I'm hitting up here. I haven't changed anything on this hole except I think I've got my numbers tightened up. So I've got an extra mile tighten. I'm taking out the wind. So on the shot up here, I'm using an extra mile from here. Okay. I'm using an extra mile and coming over. I'm taking out the wind. I'm doing max overpower, and I'm doing max overpower. I'm doing max top spin -2. So I'm doing 2 less than max top spin. And I'm doing pretty much max right side spin. Let's get rid of that. So max overpower, max top spin -2. 2 less than max top spin. Max right hand side spin. That's what I'm doing on the drive. So that puts me from this spot right here, and it gets me landing in this spot right here, and then I end up over in this spot. I was hitting this shot just a titch too far, and then my sniper's minimum red line was like right here. So I took off 2, I'm taking 2 top spin off instead of 1, because it puts me back just a little bit further, and it puts my sniper red line right here. So I have the entire rough to do the rough bump, which is where I brought the sniper. So when I was up here and I overshot it, I had to do the backspin with the sniper, and Albatross was pretty much out of the picture. I was just going to secure my eagle. So I've tightened that shot up so that I'm always going to get this rough bump. On the rough bump, I'm about 2 rings off from the front. I'm squeezed up to the front about 2 rings, and I'm coming straight at the hole. I'm not exactly sure how much top spin I'm putting on there, but I'm putting on enough top spin that goes right past the hole. I'm not going right to the hole, where I got it going right to the hole. I'm right to the hole, and I'm past it, just like maybe a square, one of the little cuts on the green. Let's see here. I know I made another adjustment here. I've got a 20%. I'm doing a 20% wind adjustment. And I'm hitting 1.5 per ring. I'm in minimum club. And I've been super close. Super. Alright, that's what I'm doing on hole number 6. Just going through my notes here and making sure I got everything written down right. So hole number 7. Sorry about that. Hole number 7. This one right here I've switched to, I'm going with a Guardian and a Marlin, and then the weekend round I'm going to use a 0 power low wind ball. I'm not going to be using the side spin option, because I don't need any side spin at all. But I want for the weekend round, I want to take as much wind out as possible. So on hole number 7, I'm doing 1.5 per ring, and I'm doing a 30% wind adjustment, and I'm literally going right at it. I'm doing a 30% wind adjustment. So let's see, 30% on the wind. I'm doing 1.5 per ring because I'm at minimum club. I'm taking a Guardian and a low wind 0 power ball. If you don't have any low wind 0 power balls, use a marlin. That's what I've been using up to this point. I've been saving I saved my low wind balls. I only have 4 of them, and I saved those 4 so that I could use 2 of them in this round. I could have used 2 of them in the opening round, but I could get it done with a marlin, and it is just a little bit, anything that you can put on your side during the weekend round is on your side. Alright, that's what I'm doing on hole number 7. Hole number 8, we've changed this hole. I've changed this hole. I'm not doing it the same way anymore. So what I was doing, I've hit this from all 4 spots. And this spot out here, you actually have 2 different shots. You can hit over and try and just roll it on, or you can try and hit it from here, hit it into the rough, and then hit it on. And traditionally, I found myself in one-on-one play using this one a lot. Sometimes you use this one. This one was hard starting off when you got lower level clubs because it's a weird shot. And so for consistency, I went to the rough bump because I thought, well, hey, I'm this close, and I only have to put just a little bit of topspin. I can roll out, but it's amazing how tough this shot is. I mean, it's not so difficult you can't get it done, but when you only get 6 out of 10 or you only get 8 out of 10 eagles, that's not good enough. Because on a hole like this, we have to get an eagle. So, I mean, this has to be like a par 3. We come to it, we get our eagle, we go home. We go to a par 3, we get our birdie, we go home. I mean, that's how it is. We need to make this shot in 2 and then get it done. So what I've switched to is I'm coming over here with a kingmaker and a quarterback. Now, if you have an upper developed quarterback and a kingmaker, you're going to find your red line's going to be somewhere up in this neighborhood. And you've got more backspin and upper level QB, and you've got more curl, so you're going to easily be able to bring it to the hole. However, you don't like curl. Don't use more than 1 ball of curl, because if you use more than 1 ball of curl, you will clip this tree right here. If you use max curl, so I came out here and what I wanted to see is that when you're in this area and your ball guide's going like this, so you've got max curl on it, and you've got max side spin, and you've got a bunch of backspin on it, so your ball is kind of sitting like right here. So you've kind of moved it over just a little with the backspin and the side spin, but you still have some distance to cover. So what I wanted to know is if I used 1 ball of curl, what did it look like? So I used 1 ball of curl in it, and it ended up on about pin high, a little short. But it wasn't like going towards the hole, it was below the hole. So I cleared the distance. So I thought, well, how much distance do I have here? If I was in the drive shot and I did max curl, like what does that look like? Because if I overshot it and came over here, then you could set your ball up further to the left and you could cover this distance and you could move it over until a max curl shot ends up right at the hole. And I forgot that there was trees over here, and I found out very quickly that those trees still exist and caught the tree and ended up down here in the rough. So you cannot put on max curl. This is one of those Glen Monarch holes, and they teach you lessons, and this lesson right here is that if you want to get that ball in there, you have to finesse it in. So you're going to have to, so what I found was if I come in here with a QB and a kingmaker and with max backspin, max right-hand side spin, however much I could get on for both, I was like looking in this area where the ball guy was going out like that, so my arc was here and just trying to dribble it up to the hole. So I'm going to use like 1 ball of curl. I don't need to use very much curl because you don't have very much distance to cover. I'm going to put on enough curl that if I hit a grate to the left and it started going off in this trajectory, I could cover this distance. So I'm going to put on like maybe a ball, maybe 3/4 of a ball. I'm not going to put on a lot of curl because I don't necessarily want to press the issue of hitting this tree. But I did practice in my lower level account, and you can put on a good solid ball of curl and still miss that tree. And I'll post those holes because I made an eagle on this both times with I think it's like a level 5 or a level 6 quarterback. It's not, it doesn't have all of its good stuff yet, and I was still easily able to get on. But if we can guarantee ourselves an eagle on this hole, think about your round. If you shoot a -12, which is just getting the average, you should just go out and get a birdie, and you just get a birdie, eagle. You just go out and just get the minimum score, and you come to 8 every single time and you get an eagle. That puts you at -26. Now you're looking at top 10, top 20 in most brackets. Okay, then you go out there on all the rest of those holes and you pick up one extra shot. You're in the top 5. And so it can really change the deal if you can standardize one hole like this. So by making this change, I think this hole is now going to be like the super easiest eagle for us in the game. All right, that was hole number 8. Let's go to hole number 9. Hole number 9, I have made a change on hole number 9 as well. I hit an Albie on hole number 9 in my main account. To get me back up to 26, I was actually one shot down. I missed a putt. And I came to hole number 9 and I hit an Albie, and one of my viewers commented on, like, when I shot it, I said one thing and then I did another. So I came at it to start off with an extra mile and a Titan. I did max overpower, max right hand side spin, max right hand curl, and I've set my ball up so if you draw the line from this tee box to this little island on that green, on that sand right there, that's how I've set my line up. Let's see if I can draw that line perfect. Just real quick. Hey, get on there. Going like this. Okay. I've set my ball guide up so it's going like that. And I've left the entire fairway open on the right hand side. And we're trying to go to the right because the green's down here, right? The green's in this direction, so we're trying to go to the right. So I've left every single thing on the right hand side open. And I put on max. Right side spin, max, right curl, and by doing that, when it hits down here, the first bounce that it makes, if I hit it perfect, every single thing on that ball goes to the right. The curl makes it go to the right because it came off in this arc, okay, and it really hasn't shown it in its trajectory until it makes the first bounce. Okay, but it came off in this arc because you put on all that max right hand curl. So the ball is now going in this direction before it even hit the ground. So you've already cleared this gap. And then I put the right hand side spin on there, so as soon as it hits the ground, everything's pulling it to the right. So if I hit it great to the left, this shot right here, this outside shot that I'm actually aiming for, this shot right here is great to the left. So great to the left, if I apply all the side spin and the curl, puts me right about there. And that's actually the perfect shot. But if I make this the perfect shot, then if I hit great to the left, I end up in the sand. So what I've done is I've actually, the perfect shot on this that puts me right up here where I really want to be is actually the great to the left. And the perfect shot puts me right out here a little bit lower, and the great to the right puts me out here just a little bit lower, and all 3 of those put me in the fairway. And on the right hand side I have a 2-ring great, and on the left hand side I might have a 2-ring great. But I've tried to set the shot up so that it doesn't matter whether I hit it great or great perfect or great to the other side, I'm still going to end up out here in the fairway. So I'm sacrificing, I'm looking at where my shot is so that I'm trying to maximize this fairway. So I have the whole fairway. What I see a lot of people do on this hole is they come here and they start off and they're in this trajectory right here. And they're trying to bring their ball out to the same spot that I'm in. And they're doing a max overpower shot, and they're doing where here's your ball and here's your ball guide, and you're pulling it straight back to you. So when you're pulling it straight back to you and you're doing this shot, these shots right here scare the heck out of me. And the reason they scare the heck out of me is that when you're pulling it straight back, whenever we have one of those shots that we need to do a max overpower and we're pulling it straight back, if you hit it great to the left, it's going to go great to the left. If you hit it great to the right, it's going to end up in the rough out here, and you're going to go great to the right. Okay, there is no hitting it great to the left or right. If you don't hit it perfect, you're in big trouble because you're hitting it straight back. But by pulling it over here to the left and putting everything on that ball to make it go to the right, no matter how I hit it, it's going to go to the right. There is no way it's going to the left unless I actually hook the shot. So that's how I'm doing the drive. So when I'm coming into the green, what I found out in the Albatross that I got, let me see if I can get my light back on so I can see my notes. On my Albatross, we went through and we really diagnosed the shot, because what happened was I said one thing and I did another. I'm in minimum club. I came in here and I did a minimum club. I said I'm going to do a minimum club number, which is 1.5 per ring. And then when I made the adjustment, I actually only made a 1.0 per ring adjustment. Now I did do a 20% wind adjustment, and I made that wind adjustment correctly. And I think the wind is blowing kind of like in this direction. So I made the wind adjustment correctly. But what I did wrong was, instead of using 1.5 per ring because I'm in minimum club, I used 1.0 per ring, which is max club. And I had it written down on my notes to use the 1.5. But I got confused because I looked at my notes and I had a Guardian written down, and I was using a Sniper, but the numbers that were written down were for my Guardian, but they were actually for my Sniper. So as confusing as that is, that my brain rebooted and I went back to the old trusted standard 1.0 per ring on a 100% accurate club. And so what I did when I came in here was, what I actually did was I did a 20% wind adjustment, and I did a max number, and I'm using a Sniper, so that's 1 per ring at max. Even though I'm at minimum club, I did a max wind adjustment with a 20% addition to the wind, and I went right in the hole, and I was aimed right at the hole. I had my ball guide down there and I was right at the hole. Now, one of the things that I did to standardize this shot was I wedged my blue rings up between that sand and that rough. So the first thing I did was I came to the hole and I set my blue rings up so that they were wedged up in that spot. And then I literally dialed in the backspin, side spin to get it to come right at the hole. I did a 20% wind adjustment. I added on plus 20% to the wind, and I did a 1 per ring, max. So whatever club you bring here, you'll have to find a spot to set it up in here, but I did a max wind adjustment, even though it was a minimum in minimum club, and it went right in the hole. So I can't argue with that success, so I'm going to have to try it again. And I have found other holes. There was a Milano hole that I found, hole 8 par 4, that I had never, I hit really good when it first came out, and then I didn't hit good on it for a long time, and then because I started using minimum and mid numbers and all that stuff, and then I switched and I started hitting a max number even though I'm in mid club, and I've gotten a lot of success on that hole since I switched. So I'm gonna try it. I got an Albie on the hole, and you gotta respect the Albie. All right, so that's how. Those are my notes for the Great Outdoors tournament. Sorry, I got cut off there. I ran out of space, so I had to go. I'm still uploading some videos, and I got a bunch of videos on there. Sorry about that. All right, that was hole number 9 of the Great Outdoors tournament. So let's go in real quick, and let's look at one of the brackets. So this is my low level account. If we can get back in it. Kind of see if you're new, kind of just seeing where you're at. It's really important. Okay, we're coming up on the weekend round. If you guys watch this before you get on, or if you already got on in this one, the second that you get on in the morning the second that you get on, you go, okay, I'm going to get in a bracket. You get in, you go through the stuff, it tells you that you placed in the bracket, it gives you all your stuff. Get through that stuff as fast as you can and get into a bracket and find out where you're ranked, because you'll be able to go to the top, and everybody has played 0 holes, so you'll be able to tell when you get to the top what your number is. If you come in 35th, or if you come in 26th, or you come in 3rd or 1st, then that's where you are with tiebreakers and everybody in the bracket. So you have everybody in the bracket covered in tiebreakers. So it's really important to know when you come into the bracket where you're at in the tiebreakers. So if you're 20, let's say you shot a 24. So I shot a 24 here, and I'm in a lower level bracket. This is my low level account, and just so I can demo those clubs. And so in this account right here, at 24, I'm in the top 10. And my main account, 26 is, you got to have a 22 just to get into the tournament, just to get into the weekend round. So the 24s are in like 20th, maybe 18th, and they're on. So, coming into the weekend round, having a 24, if you started off here at 6th, and you figure another bracket with the same amount of people who played fairly similar, I'm going to come in somewhere in the top 12 in tiebreakers. because I'm at the top here with 24. So if another 24 comes in, I'm going to be close to the top with that 24. So I'm looking at somewhere in the top 12. So I've got 88 people in the bracket covered as long as I can shoot a 24. Now, it doesn't necessarily work that way. It don't necessarily work that way. What kind of talk was that? I worked in West Virginia one time and I picked up some bad habits while I was there. I say holla every now and then. I am not from West Virginia. So if you shoot a 24 this time and you shoot a 24 in the next round, and they have a similar amount of people in those areas, you're going to be, like if you come in as the top 24, you're going to come in as the top 24. So if you take two of these brackets and you had, 12, the top 12 people shot 24 or better, and here we've got 24s down to 9, so the top 18 people, that means that you're guaranteed if you shoot another 24, you're probably going to be at the top 20. And if you got really good tiebreakers, you could find yourself as the top 24, you could find yourself in the top 10. So if you can come in and standardize some of these holes, and you can pick up those two, and you can end up with a 24 and just shoot a nice clean round, and you picked up 8 every time, then you're coming into the weekend round, in the top 3 in tiebreakers, in the top 6 in tiebreakers. Now you have a super great shot if you play really consistent of being up there in the top 5 with the possibility of getting a banner. You pick up just one extra shot. Everybody thinks that you got to pick up a whole bunch of extra shots. No, the people that are at the top are not picking up a whole bunch of extra shots. What's happening is the people at the top are playing these holes super consistent, and they're not dropping any shots on other holes. And they're giving themselves 18 opportunities to pick up a shot, because every single time they're in the right spot. So if they can pick up 20%, that's 3 or 4 shots, and that takes you from a 24 to a 28. And so that's why those people are up there. So when you look at the score and you go, I'm shooting a 22, and those guys are shooting a 28, I'm 6 away. Really, you're only 4 away. You need to get to the point where you're playing consistent. And when you're playing consistent, then all of those extra shots that you pick up during a tournament, you get to keep those extra shots. And now you'll start digging into the people that are at their top's lead. So really pay attention when you come into the weekend round of where you're at in tiebreakers. That's why sometimes I come into the weekend round and I go, in my main account, I go, okay, here's the deal. You got to shoot a 28 to have any shot at winning, and there's going to be somebody at the top with a 29, and I need to shoot a 30, because I know I don't have anybody beat with tiebreakers, so I have to go for it on every hole. I have no shot. But when I come in and I'm in the top 3 in tiebreakers, it's not that you can play more conservative. It's just that you have everybody covered if you just play as good as you know you can play. You don't have to be as aggressive. All right, that was the Great Outdoors Tournament. That was just kind of a weekend round notes looking at what I've got doing for the rest of the tournament, and hopefully everybody has a great weekend round. Thanks for watching.